Minella Indo, because he is the Gold Cup winner, is owned by Barry Maloney, who's been waiting really patiently for us as well, but I'm sure won't have minded listening to his Gold Cup winning trainer. Barry, good morning.
Morning, Nick. How are you?
I'm very well. Now, you and I first spoke 2 or 3 years ago, and you were building up a nice string of horses, but to win a Gold Cup now, how does that feel?
Oh, just incredible. Absolutely incredible. Can't even start to describe it. It's just been amazing.
And Henry was saying how you've been with him in one way or another since almost the very beginning. Can you take us right the way back to how you two first got hooked up?
Yeah, look, when I was back in college, we were in a syndicate of college mates, and we took a rented horse that Henry's father at the time, and then Henry were training for us. So I've had an association with them since then, got to know him really well, and always said that if I ever got to the stage where I could afford to, make a few investments in racehorses, that I would work with Henry. So it's been phenomenal to watch his rise through that time. And as you heard there, when you listen to him, he's just a class act. He's got, every horse, he has a plan for them. He thinks carefully about it. His communication skills with the owners are impeccable, and he's as honest as the day is long. And when you put those things together, you get the result which you got this week. And I'm just so delighted for him.
And so, you've obviously known him a long time, as you were saying, and you massively admire his communication skills. What do you think makes him a good trainer of racehorses?
But he has this affinity with the horses. Every horse is an individual, and he gets that. And every plan that he puts in place is based on what he knows about the horse. So, we always talked about, Henry's strategy has always been, I want to build not the biggest stable in Ireland. I want to build a stable of quality horses where I can put the effort into making sure I optimize their chances of winning the biggest races. And that's working for him, as you can see. And it's just so brilliant to see what happens this week, because for all the years I've known him, that's what he would say every Cheltenham: if I can just have one winner. But in the background, he was working away at improving the quality of what he had and building his brand and his franchise. And it's great now to see him getting recognised along with the Willie Mullins and the Gordons and the Hendersons, and it's just brilliant to see it happen.
And because you've been a very successful businessman and you have a strong business background, have you tried to help him in that regard? Because as you say, all these big trainers now, these super trainers, they're more than just animal conditioners. They're a brand.
Oh, yeah. And yes, over the years, we've had various discussions about how to leverage his brand, how to leverage his infrastructure. Because, for these guys, it's tough for Henry to break into where he's broken into now has taken time, patience, and he's had to think differently about achieving what he has. So, he's been very willing to try new things at one stage, to my horror, by the way, not even at one stage, he's still in it. He's still in some of the flat horses, right? But that was about trying to leverage the infrastructure that he has down there to try and get more of a return. Because it's tough with these guys, particularly in Ireland, when you've got the likes of Gordon and Willie, who are just so big, so massive, and have got such horsepower behind them to try and find a niche. And Henry's plan was always, I'm going to be smaller, but I want to get higher quality horses. And if I can do that and win these champion races, then that's how I'm going to build my brand. And that's what's happening.
This is a really interesting point, Barry, and I'm fascinated to know your thoughts on it, because obviously one of the great motifs of the week has been just how dominant and successful not just 1 or 2 Irish trainers have been, but 6, 7, 8 of them. 3 or 4 years ago, you had Mullins 8, Elliott 7, or Elliott 8, Mullins 7, and maybe 1 for Henry and not much for anybody else. Do you believe the Mullins-Elliott combined effect, or the Mullins effect initially, has dragged a whole load of other trainers up to that level? Do you think it's had that effect? Rather than, pushing them into submission, it's actually had the opposite effect?
Yeah, I think to an extent it has. You see Gavin Cromwell having 2 winners this week. It's just fantastic to see that. But I think they have to figure out, what's their niche going to be to build the kind of business. Because at the end of the day, all these guys have to make money. And if you don't have, you're not winning the prize money, you're not getting the quality of the horses in, it's very, very tough. And a lot of the trainers over here are struggling because of it. So I think what the Willie Mullins and the Gordon Elliots have shown is what is possible to be achieved. And I think but I think for anybody to reach the kind of level that Henry's got to now, where he's able to challenge these guys, you've got to figure out what your niche is and how you're going to execute to it, because it is tough.
Can I ask something from an English perspective, or British perspective? You can tell by the way you're talking that, Barry, that your business background comes through. I believe it's a venture capital background as well, turning round failing businesses. Give us a bit of advice on the other front. If you're looking at the other side of the coin, what are the key criteria? Is it all supply chain? Is it all competing for the raw material? Is that where the balance of power has shifted to your side?
Well, look, I mean, the business that I've been in has been early stage technology investment. So, the key to that is picking people, because, I've been privileged to be associated with multi-billion-dollar companies built by entrepreneurs that we met at a very early stage, gave them their first couple of $1 million, and they've gone on to build global businesses. So my learning out of that was, pick the people. And my choice of the trainer I want to work with was the same principle. Pick the person you're going to enjoy working with, because this is our hobby. Myself, my brother Michael, my other, my family, my friends, we do this for fun. And therefore, we're very ambitious for it, but we want to be having fun. And picking the right person where you have trust and confidence in the relationship is key. And that's just like venture investing.
And when you look at the strength of Irish racing now, the strength of Irish national hunt racing relative to the sport in the UK, and I'm not going to suddenly start bashing the sport in Britain, because that's not what the exercise is about, but the strength of the racing in Ireland. Willie Mullins talked about a plan that had been put in place by HRI 2-3 decades ago that's now reaping fruit. Is that something you subscribe to, Barry, just watching on and looking at the ownership base, looking at the strength of various stables?
I think two things have happened. One is, and I think Michael O'Leary has referred to this, a few times, Ireland just as an economy, obviously, is much smaller than the UK, but growing. But the difference was people, were lucky enough to make money in their various phases of life. So we were able to keep some of the good horses here. I think that was extremely important. I think the other thing that's been absolutely critical is the government support for racing in Ireland. They have been phenomenal. And, I heard some of the stats for every euro they've invested, they're getting like a 30x return, because Ireland Inc. is and always will be a horse racing country.
Yeah.
And I think that payback in terms of employment and infrastructure all the way through the food chain, all the way through the point-to-point, the breeding, has been key. So, hats off to the government and through them, obviously HRI, for continuing to do that and support the industry, because that's why we're getting results like we are this week.
And just wheeling back to the horse himself, to Minella Indo, he's already the horse of a lifetime, isn't he? 2 Cheltenham Festival victories, and he ran so well there the other time as well, and now the race that matters most. Was this always the ambition? When you started out as a racehorse owner, was what you are watching now on the screen what you envisaged as the ultimate?
Yeah, look, it's been our dream, Nick. I mean, what I always said to Henry is every year, right? And myself and Michael, my brother, very keen on this, right? From day one, right? Start with Cheltenham and work backwards. And the reason for that, with every horse we've had, is we've been going to Cheltenham for 18, 19 years with my father, my uncle, my brothers. We never had a runner for years and years and years. And then with Monolith, we had our first. And once you get to that caliber of horse, then the ambition is always, okay, the Gold Cup, because that is the holy chalice. We never envisaged it would happen this early. But we're just absolutely thrilled. So, to be honest, it's going to take months for this to sink in.
And you don't seem in any way, I mean, obviously you'd have loved to have been there during the week, but just your sheer passion and enthusiasm for what's just happened, it doesn't seem to be too diminished by the fact that you weren't.
I know, Nick. We love Cheltenham. I mean, it's the highlight of our year. We've got the week blocked out every year. The crack, as we say, with our travelling group. We've 6 or 7 guys that come with us. With my uncle Noel, who's now 80, comes with us every year. And so being there was I mean, just. But we understood why we couldn't be. So then the thing was, okay, well, we're not there, so let's do the next best thing and enjoy every single race, you know, and celebrate this event together. And that's what's happened. So we're not going to let the fact we weren't there take away from the accomplishment, which is just the dream of a lifetime. It's as simple as that.
Barry, thanks so much for talking to us. Best of luck with him wherever he goes next, and many, many congratulations.
Thanks very much, guys. Thanks, Nick, and we'll see you again soon. On the other side, hopefully, we get through this stuff.
Fingers crossed. Thank you so much. Barry Maloney there, the owner of Minella Indo.